Halloween is finally here, and as you can see, I'm already getting in the spirit. Anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely love horror and all these spooky things, but you know, it wasn't always like that. Buckle up everyone, because it's time for a little story. A story about the wonderful world of horror. Hey everyone, Silly Drifloon here. Believe it or not, there was once a time in my life where I hated horror. No one in my family liked the genre, and my parents pretty much preconditioned me to avoid it altogether. We would always look away during scary movies, any trailers for scary movies. They'd always be like, change the channel. I wouldn't even ride scary rides at theme parks like Universal Studios' The Mummy. So I lived my entire life absolutely terrified of horror, not even daring to look at it. And this went on up until my senior year in high school. Believe it or not, it went on for this long. When I was a senior in high school, I was then introduced to something magical. Something that changed my life forever. You guessed it, FNAF. So, something that hasn't changed a bit about me is that I always kept my ears perked for the latest gaming news. I was a huge nerd, even back then in high school. And of course, something that peaked popularity back in 2014 was the Five Nights at Freddy's series. I kept asking myself, what is all the fuss about? What on earth is this game, and why is it so popular, and why won't everyone shut up about it? I wanted desperately to know what the big deal around this game was, so I looked into it. Man, when I first saw a video of FNAF, I freaked out. It was that video where Foxy's running down the hallway. I couldn't even bear to watch that. And it wasn't even the jump scare that freaked me out, it was him running. Him running was the thing that scared me. So naturally, I detested the game at first for a long while, just because I was discriminating it for being horror. But I am a very curious individual, and I said to myself, no, there has to be a reason why everyone is talking about this game. So my curiosities got the better of me, and one night, I got the courage to finish watching that Foxy running video. And I did. Did it scare me? Yes, it did. But something else also happened. I laughed. I laughed at the reaction of the guy playing the game. And this is how I was introduced to none other than Markiplier.
Perfect! No! Oh yeah! I tried to push it! Oh my god! Oh, are those my eyeballs? Oh!
His FNAF reaction videos led me to want to see other YouTubers react to this game, and I couldn't get enough. I thought each reaction I saw was even funnier than the last. This also introduced me to the world of YouTube, about how YouTube is this great community with content creators and the likes. You know, not just a random place for people to upload cat videos. Now, I was the one that couldn't get enough. I wanted to keep watching more and more videos until I discovered, hey, there's more to this game than meets the eye. It wasn't actually just a bunch of silly scares and people reacting. There was a legitimate story hidden underneath the seams and the coding of this game. And that's how I got introduced to game theory. I got obsessed with trying to figure out the lore and meaning behind this game. Even though I was scared at first, I bared through it just because the story was so interesting. I just had to find out what happened next. Even if it was horror, even if I was scared out of my mind, I wanted to know. So finally, I downloaded the game for myself and played it for myself. Was I scared? Yes. Yes, I was. But I had so much fun. I didn't realize how thrilling being so tense and like put in a spot of adrenaline, how amazing it made you feel, like riding a roller coaster. The anxiety and dread I would feel from sitting in the room by myself in the dark playing that game would not let up, and I loved it. I honestly wanted more. That feeling of adrenaline made me feel like I was in a rush, like I was living on the edge. This taught me two things. Not only did I finally understand why everyone was so crazy over this game, I finally understood why people liked horror in the first place. So this was my gateway. This is how I got into the genre. I then rode The Mummy at Universal. I then watched all these horror movies like the Insidious saga. Love that movie, by the way. After all this, it all made sense to me. There are elements of comedy and action in horror movies, just like any other movie. Just like in Insidious 3 and It. But these movies wouldn't work as a comedy or a thriller. It only makes sense in the horror genre. And that's because there's an added element to it. That sense of panic and adrenaline and dread would not be met equally if it was just a thriller movie. Horror adds an extra element to the experience. But let me tell you something, it has to be done right. Horror shouldn't just be about pointless scares and, who cares about the story and characters? Let's just throw in a bunch of scares to scare the audience. No, because then it doesn't feel worth watching, honestly. Good horror movies like It and the Insidious saga make you care about the characters. They make you care about the story and what's going on first, and then they add horror as an element. This is when it's done right. And there are many examples of things that do justice to the horror genre. I see it all the time. People that turn the horror genre away because they just don't understand it. They were just like me at one point, thinking that it was just about a bunch of silly scares, all meaningless and pointless. Just a movie to not make you feel good at all. But hopefully, the more people realize what to look for in good horror, the more we will see the genre thrive and prosper. Well, that's all I have to say. Please share this video with anyone you think needs to give horror a second chance. And don't forget to subscribe, join the Drifloon Army, and hit the bell to be notified whenever I post again.